G7 leaders have agreed to boost weapons deliveries to Ukraine and ramp up pressure on Russia's energy sector after holding a summit in the French town of Evian.
After aid cuts, the UN Food Agency has received a €690 million grant by the US.
G7 leaders have adopted a statement committing to increasing deliveries of weapons to embattled Ukraine as they met in the French town of Evian. The weapons discussed included air defense systems and long-range missile capabilities to enable Ukraine to continue its counterattack operations deep inside Russian territory. The leaders also agreed that it's, quote, the right moment to tighten the screws on Russia's energy sector, which serves as the Kremlin's financial arm to fund its invasion. The statement praises Kyiv for the new momentum it has built on the battlefield and has expressed unwavering support for Ukraine in its fight to defend its freedom and sovereignty. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky was among the dignitaries not part of the G7 to attend the meeting, where he held talks with France's Emmanuel Macron, Germany's Friedrich Merz, and the UK's Keir Starmer on the sidelines. Zelensky expressed his gratitude for the continued support for his country and stressed the need for further sanctions on Russia, especially its energy sector. U.S. President Donald Trump also said Washington would soon be in a position to reimpose sanctions on the Kremlin's energy, which it had relaxed due to the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, which shuttered the Strait of Hormuz and crippled global energy supplies.
Amid rising threats to Europe, Poland and Germany have stepped up military cooperation in a new Warsaw Pact covering drills, logistics, cyber and Baltic security. On Wednesday in Warsaw, the Polish and German defense ministers signed a new bilateral agreement on defense cooperation. The signing of the agreement coincided with the 35th anniversary of the Polish-German Treaty on Good Neighborhood and Friendly Cooperation. It replaces the framework agreement on defense cooperation signed in 2011 by Poland and Germany. New provisions mainly cover issues related to military mobility, the development of logistics support infrastructure, cooperation in the maritime domain, including in the Baltic Sea, cybersecurity and the use of outer space. Unlike the Polish-French treaty signed in 2025, the agreement with Germany does not provide for mutual security guarantees.
Russia has issued more than 1,100 visas to people who adhere to traditional Russian values. This document, dubbed the anti-woke visa by Western media outlets, is intended for nationals of countries imposing destructive neoliberal ideological orientations, according to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which published its figures for 2025 on Wednesday. Germany, France and the United States are the main countries that have benefited from this visa, which was launched in 2024. Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Canada and Australia are also on the list of countries that have benefited from this visa. This document allows holders to enter Russian territory and to stay for up to 3 months. Holders may then apply for a residence permit. This visa forms part of the ideological battle waged by Moscow since the start of the invasion of Ukraine in 2022 against Western values, which Russian President Vladimir Putin considers decadent. Earlier this month, Putin hailed the program, emphasizing that a number of countries were attempting to abolish traditional family values.
Israeli forces have carried out fresh airstrikes across southern Lebanon, injuring several people just days before a framework deal to end the war between the United States and Iran is signed. According to Lebanon's national news agency, precise raids targeted the Nabatia El-Favka area and the outskirts of Kfar Tebnit, alongside a drone strike on the town of Ansariyah. While overall violence has declined across the country since the regional peace framework was announced on Monday, continued actions in south have killed at least 5 people. The Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah initially drew Lebanon into the conflict in early March following the killing of Iran's supreme leader, prompting a massive campaign of airstrikes and a subsequent ground invasion. The group has not claimed any fresh attacks against Israeli targets since Tuesday, as the group's leader, Naim Qassem, prepares a significant televised address amid the ongoing peace talks. The persistent combat continues to threaten the broader diplomatic breakthrough, as Iranian officials warn that any deal remains incomplete without the full withdrawal of Israeli forces from occupied Lebanese territories.
The European Parliament has approved a law aimed at speeding up the return of migrants with no legal right to remain in the EU, thanks to backing from centre-right and far-right political groups. The return regulation is the bloc's toughest shift in migration policy in decades. It is considered controversial as it would allow EU countries to set up deportation centres outside the bloc, known as return hubs, through agreements with non-EU countries. These hubs could serve either as transit facilities where people await return to their country of origin, or as locations where migrants remain for an extended period, potentially without a time limit or guarantee of onward return. Only unaccompanied minors would be exempt from the measure, while families with children could be transferred to the hubs. Other provisions include longer detention periods, tougher entry bans, and new powers to locate irregular migrants, as well as the ability to search for a so-called place of residence or other relevant premises. Some NGOs and civil society organizations have compared this to the notorious raids conducted by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
After aid cuts, the UN Food Agency said it has received a 690 million euros grant by the United States. The UN World Food Programme said this funding will support its operations to assist more than 38 million of people in 37 countries, such as displaced families by the war in Lebanon or Ebola-hit regions in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Its operations include prepositioning food supplies, delivering aid, and responding to natural disasters. The number of people facing hunger is expected to rise to record levels this year, the WFP warned. The US is the agency's biggest donor, but its contributions have more than halved from 2024 to 1.7 billion euros in 2025. Last year, the UNWFP had warned US cuts to emergency food programs would amount to, quote, a death sentence for millions of starving people across the globe. In 2025, US humanitarian funding to the UN was divided by 4 to reach less than 3 billion euros.
The 2022 Qatar World Cup runners-up France opened their campaign against Senegal on Tuesday in New York, looking to clinch a vital 3 points to top their group and reflect strong form. The first half produced a goalless draw between the two sides, with neither able to capitalize and convert their chances. But 20 minutes into the second half, France pointman and Real Madrid superstar Kylian Mbappe was quick to pounce as he managed to give his side the lead with a slick finish from inside the box. It was less than 20 minutes later when PSG's Bradley Barcola was able to extend that lead, putting Les Bleus 2-0 up in the 82nd minute. Senegal was able to pull one back in the 95th minute of the game, breaking through a tight French defensive block. But it was quickly responded to as Mbappe, chasing an all-time World Cup goal-scoring record, managed to bag his second of the night, bringing his World Cup goal tally to 14, just one behind the all-time record of 15 held by Germany's Miroslav Klose. Reigning champions Argentina also took to the pitch on Tuesday, where they faced off against Algeria. The white and blue stripes, led by one of football's all-time greats, Lionel Messi, cruised comfortably past their opposition after Messi secured his first World Cup hat-trick, and with it edging past Mbappe to beat Klose's goal-scoring record by 1. Two World Cup uncommon, Norway and Iraq, faced off for the final match of the day, with the Vikings, led by Manchester City striker Erling Haaland, pounding their way to a 4-1 victory. Haaland scored a brace in his World Cup debut, maintaining the top form he displayed in the qualifiers, which landed his nation a ticket to the tournament.
On Thursday morning at 7 a.m. local time, Uzbekistan will wake up to a moment many football fans have waited years to see. The national team will play its first ever World Cup match against Colombia. Across the country, schools, parks and public spaces are being transformed into fan zones as supporters prepare to watch history unfold. Behind me, kids are doing what they always do here, playing football. But in a few days, this stadium will look very different. Chairs, mats, and a giant screen will turn it into one of 208 fan zones across Uzbekistan, where communities will gather to watch the national team play at the World Cup for the very first time.
Bu muxlislar maydonida birinchi navbatda o'qituvchilar, shu maktabda o'quvchilari, atrofdagi aholi bemalol kelib tomosha qilishi mumkin. Katta ekranlarda, baribir katta ekranni shukuhi boshqacha bo'ladi. Sababi yerda o'sha ichki tuyg'ularni chiqarishda, do'stlarini yonida turib, ularni bag'riga bosib, minnatdorchilik va xursandchilikni chiqarishda o'ziga yarasha zavqi bo'ladi.
The anticipation is visible far beyond the fan zones. Flags, posters and images of the national team have appeared in shops, cafes and public spaces across the country. Among the symbols of this World Cup campaign is Bek, the official mascot of the Uzbekistan squad.
I think it will have a huge impact on kids, on the young population going into football.
Avvalo qatnashishni o'zi katta yutuq. Bu birinchi marotaba chiqishimiz deb o'ylayman. Endi keyingi musobaqalarda yoki keyingi o'yinlarda yaxshi natijalar kutamiz. Avvalo Xudo xolasa birinchi natijamiz shu guruh bosqichidan chiqishini tilayman.
Support has also spread across social media. Content creators from across Central Asia have been posting messages of encouragement, backing the first team from the region ever to reach a World Cup. The wait is almost over. For decades, Uzbekistan watched the World Cup as spectators. On Thursday morning, for the first time, it will be part of it.